was tall. In victory we win. In victory we win.
Hey guys, it's your girl LaToya Renee, and you're tuning into Sister Can We Talk. This show is an empowerment show that allows us to tell each other's testimonies, to uplift each other, to inspire and motivate us to believe in the impossible. Today I have a wonderful guest in the building. Her name is Pastor Teresa Burton. Y'all give it up. Yay! I'm so glad that you're here.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
I love your testimony because your testimony is very diverse. And so it speaks to a lot of people in different ways. And I think our viewers will really be blessed by hearing your testimony.
Yes. I'm super excited being here.
Yes.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you. So are you. We do
you.
it right here.
We do it right.
So let's go ahead and start off your testimony from the very beginning.
Well, from the very beginning. Well, my mom died when I was 4.
Okay.
And when she died, unfortunate, she had 5 kids and we got separated. The place the home I ended up in, there was a lot of abuse. First it started with physical abuse with my caregiver, and then it ended up in sexual abuse with the people in the family of the caregiver, and also people from the streets, and people came by because she was an older person.
I have a question. So you wasn't with a relative, you was actually in a foster home?
No, I was with a relative.
Okay.
I was with a relative, and unfortunately there was a lot of incest and a lot of physical and sexual abuse that was going on in the family.
Okay.
I'm not sure that my mom was aware of that.
Okay.
But that's where we ended up. It was 3 of us, my sister, my brother, and myself.
Okay.
Ended up there, and then the other 2, they was with someone else's house. But then we got separated.
Yes.
The 3 that was with the relative got separated over the course of 2 years. So child sexual abuse started happening when I was 5.
5 years old.
5 years old. And it was a friend of the family, an older gentleman that used to come and care or check on my relative because she was older.
Yes.
And she used to drink a lot. And unfortunate that night that she was passed out drink, I can remember just like it was yesterday. He went to the restroom. My door was closed. Yeah. He went to the restroom, something he always done. Now, I'm 5, so I'm not knowing this is a grooming process.
Right.
Not knowing that. And so he went to the restroom. I'm in my bed, going to sleep, and something was different about that night. And at 5, I always felt, even as young as I was, I felt like something was off. I could feel something when it's off. Right. And so sure enough, he came from the restroom, and you have to pass my bedroom. Yeah. And I never forget, I was looking, I could tell from the light from the hallway, someone feet stopped at the door. At the door. And next thing you know, the door opened. Wow. And when he opened the door, he came to, I tried to play the house asleep. And he was touching me, and next thing you know, he left my gown on, but he took my underwears off. Oh God. And he got on top of me, and it was so painful, but he told me not to scream. And he tried to penetrate the first time and wasn't able to. And then the second time, it felt like someone was burning me, like something was tearing my womb up, and I screamed so loud. My brother that was in the other room, he came running in there, and he took a TV and threw it on him. Wow. And he was able to, the guy, he was like 30 years old, 30-something years old, and he grabbed his stuff and he ran out. The crazy thing about it, there was a smell from that experience that traveled with me for years, and I never knew what it was. Right. And from there, unfortunately, from there at 5, it's like I was easy gay. I was an easy prey, and different people and different men and women. From 5 to 12 years old, I was raped 12 times by male and female. Wow. Unfortunate, it was it got to the place where I got addicted to the feeling.
And that's something that I hear a lot, that it's like, wow, because your body kind of betrays you.
Yes. Your body is going to respond.
Right.
But if you don't communicate it, if you don't communicate as you're growing up, and we was not allowed to talk about the abuse, we was not allowed to talk about what happened.
So did people know at the time from 5 to 12 that you was getting abused?
Yes. For that period of time, yes. Different people. By that time, I'm in different homes anyway. So by the time I got 8 years old, 9 years old, I was moved from the home.
Yes.
So now I'm in foster care. Now I'm in group homes. Now I'm experiencing more than just family and friends. Now I'm experiencing even group home rape and all that stuff. And I remember even me and my brother, I was put in juvie at the age of 8.
For what?
Because I'm following him.
Right.
He was getting in crime at the age of 9.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story all by itself.
Okay.
But needs to say, I followed him and trying to keep up with him, because even the night that at 5, he made a promise to me that he would never leave me.
Yes.
And so I would follow him because I was tired. I didn't want to be abused. I didn't want the touch. And so as long as my brother was around,
you were safe.
I was safe.
Yeah.
But so when he started getting into stuff that take him out the house, I was left in the house by myself.
Oh, wow.
And so I would just, no, I don't want to stay there tonight. So I'll follow him. And this particular night, he was breaking into a house. And
you said he was 9?
He was 9.
Okay.
Yeah. We was dealt a bad hand. And unfortunately, our environment taught us how to live and how to maneuver through stuff. And so I followed him, and sure enough, the people had a silent alarm. He didn't know it. Police come rocking
He's
in.
9.
9.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, and so I got in juvie. That was the only time I had been downtown.
Oh.
The only time, because I came a drug dealer later, but I never got caught.
We ain't gonna talk about that. Not now. I love because when I was interviewing you before, you said something that I thought was very interesting. You said DCF never let you stay at home too long because it would build an attachment.
So back in those days, when I was removed from the home that I was being abused and get into foster care, unfortunately, the different houses that I lived, I was not living there long. Now, I'm not knowing that during that time, their system is and their policy was they don't allow children to stay at a home that long because they don't want to do attachment. So unfortunately, that created a whole nother problem for me. I lived out of my suitcase. I lived out of the bag. I never got comfortable. It got so bad because by me not knowing the policy, I'm a child, I thought I can do something with different families to make them want me. So I went through life thinking if I just be good enough, if I don't eat enough, if I don't eat, there was times I wouldn't eat food because I'm thinking maybe I'm too expensive and maybe I'm just doing too much. And I said, I don't need a bed, I sleep on the floor. And there was one home I lived in, just very short, they used to feed me in the closet. Yeah, they used to feed me in the closet. And so, but there was one particular home I wanted to stay. It seemed like it was perfect, but I couldn't stay. And so, unfortunately, for years and years, not knowing that was a policy, not because something I did, not because I wasn't good enough, but it was too late because now this behavior, this mindset was already set in me.
Now, question for you: going through the process of not staying too long at a house or whatever, did you develop a rejection?
I did not realize until a couple of years ago that I fear rejection. Because I never rejected by a man. So I didn't think I was dealing with rejection. But I was rejected by leadership. Those who are authority. So I didn't realize until I went to therapy that I went through that. So men, I never had a problem getting a man or a woman. So I didn't feel like I dealt with rejection. Oh, that's not me, baby. That's not me. But I realized the connection for those who I needed to carry me. They rejected me. And then when I started dealing with stuff in ministry or dealing with authority and I felt that the rejection, I didn't know that's what that was until I actually went to therapy and it said, so you got rejection issue with authority.
You're like, who, me?
I'm like, And when she connected it, I'm like, OMG.
Oh my God.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love how you say you went to therapy.
Yes, I had to. And it's crazy. I didn't go to therapy when I got raped 12 times by another female. I didn't go to therapy when I went through domestic violence and almost got killed twice.
Yeah.
I didn't go to therapy when I went schizophrenic.
Yeah.
I went to therapy when I became a pastor.
Jesus.
It's a whole nother story.
Yes. We ain't gonna get into that. Let's talk about because there were a time where you was at a house and it was a crack house, but you guys stayed in one room.
So what's so beautiful now looking back at it now. So I'm in foster care. I'm not with my family, and one of my family members came and got me out of foster care.
Okay.
And I just thought this was going to be the world. I just knew this was going to be my family. And unfortunate, once again, I was put in another situation, and so I was there for 6 months before the abuse starting over again.
Sexual abuse or
sexual abuse?
Oh, wow.
Sexual abuse, and going through sex. I mean, this family had everything. I mean, the money. I really never experienced poverty until later on in life. But I never had to want for anything.
Right.
And unfortunately, the family got on drugs. And when they experienced drugs, everything changed. Everything changed. They started taking stuff out the walls to sell. Anything they can sell, they did it, including the children that was in the house. So
you're not gonna pass by that. So how you selling the children, Lord?
So I was always cute and pretty with nice figure and things of that nature, and I always had a way with men. And the guardian used that opportunity to allow men to sleep with me to get money. And so I remember
child prostitution.
We didn't like to call it that, but that's what it was. That's what it was. But it got bad. It didn't last long because the drugs really took over them. And then one day I came home to this abusive home with all the stuff, and they was gone. They left. They just left not only me, but there was another young lady in the house too. They left us in the house as kids.
They never came back?
They didn't come back.
Oh, wow.
Now, because I've been in the foster care system, I didn't want to go back to the system. So I wasn't telling nobody. So I was going to school. But I was going to school to eat because at this time things was getting so bad. There was no food in the house. There was a lot of things we were experiencing. And so unfortunately, I said, I'm not going back to the system. Because
how old was you at this time?
By this time I had been like 10, 11, something in that area. 10, 11, going on 12, because I got pregnant when I was 14. So this happened before I got pregnant. And so we lived in this house. She was in high school, I was in middle school. And we'll meet up. We'll meet up when it's time to come home, because back then there was no cell phones. There was pagers. I just revealed my age. Good God from Zion. But we'll meet up because we always wanted to make sure that we meet up, because there was no lights. The house began to be demolished, and now we notice people, no one's condemned. So now people are coming into the home and they're taking bedrooms and they're sleeping in bedrooms, and we was not aware of that. So when we get home and we figured they wasn't bothering us though.
I was going to ask you, was you scared?
We was, but we realized they just wanted somewhere to sleep too, to smoke their crack. And we just took one of the rooms and we put a lock on it, and we got home, we'll take the lock off, get in there and lock ourselves in that room.
How long was you guys in that situation?
I want to say maybe close to a year.
Oh my God.
It wasn't over a year, but I think it was close to a year.
That's long time for no one to realize, an adult, what was going on.
And there was no water, there was nothing. So it was times that I would have to go to a neighbor house to take baths and stuff like that. And I was always be creative how I said it. So nobody know that we was in a situation. I think people knew, but they didn't want to address. They didn't want to address the obvious. Why is these kids always going different places? Why is we never see an adult? And where is the people that was living there? And we see in this house it being a revolving door. But nobody asked questions. There was one particular lady that lived on the next street from me. I used to go to her house a lot. Now she did ask. She said, "Where your people?" Oh, they went out of town. I would make up stuff. So of course, yes. Because people ask me, "Why you didn't feel the need to tell an adult?" No. Because I didn't want to go back to the system.
Or keep in mind that you didn't really trust
people. And not only that, I said nobody wants me. Only people wanted me was men. That's the only people. So make a long story short of all of that. The house ended up getting real bad.
Yeah.
Now by this time it's getting real bad to now they are going in our room. They're tearing the door down. They're stealing our stuff. We wouldn't have the bread. We wouldn't have the bologna anymore. And so now, and then the young lady that I was with, her boyfriend, mom, said she can come live with her.
Oh.
So that left me by myself. So I would not stay in the house because I was scared.
Yes, at that moment.
At that moment, because I had nobody to lean on, depend on. So I told her, I'm fine. Just made her think, because she would have stayed
if she knew.
If I would have said something. So I made like, I got somewhere to go to.
Yes.
But where I had to go was a park. I slept at a park.
Outside.
So outside. Off of Murder Avenue. Yeah.
Wow.
And I slept in that park.
And you was 10, 12?
11. And so I stayed there 11, 12. And then I met him. Mm-hmm. And when I met him, I just thought he was my hero.
Yeah.
And by this time, the family that was living in the house was coming back and forth. For some reason, it was coming back and forth. And so I'm thinking it was coming back for us, but they didn't come back for us. So there was times I would go back to the house when I knew they was there, because the part that I would sleep at, I can see the house from there.
Question for you, because I'm curious. So when they're at the house and you come in, what was their response? Like, hey, how are you?
No, it was just like, what's up? I think, when you're on drugs and you got a lot of issues and other things, because it was a lot of sexual abuse as well. So I just was an easy prey to prey on. Yeah. And so even though it was wrong, all I wanted somebody I wanted an adult to want me, to take me with them, to fight for me. And none of that was happening. So I thought, if I go back to the house and make them, hey, I can help. Then I said, I got some money. And they would take the money, but they wouldn't take you. And so, of course, I go back to the park. And I would go to different houses. I just found very creative ways to make my day go fast. I would go to school and get out of school and go to friend's house. And then one day I went to a wrong friend house and got raped there too. And that was part of the 12. Thinking that I was going to just be in her house and chill out with her, and and her dad raped me while he had put a chair under her door to keep her from not coming out. Because he told me I couldn't sleep in her bedroom. He said, no, you got to sleep in the living room. And by that time, sweetheart, when I tell you, I believe what the enemy said. I was born for other people's pleasure. And so now I'm developing a taste. Now I'm developing how to work. If you're going to take it, you're going to pay for it. So I was not into, when I was with my relatives or when I was with the home, that I was still innocent, like I didn't want this. But now I'm realizing, because somebody taught me, to my girl, you too cute, a man would pay for that. A man would pay for your conversation. And back at that time, I used to stutter. I stuttered a lot. I was very geeky at the time. Still is sometimes. But I went through all of that, and it just went, and then I met him.
Let's go back to him. So you met him at the park?
No, I met him through my relatives, the people I was living with. They was friends with him, his brothers. And when they was coming back and forth to the house that time, you'll start seeing these big dudes and coming, and I would stay at the house as long as the people was there, I would stay there. And he would come and he groomed me. There was
a big age gap.
Yes, he was 15 years older than me.
And you're how old?
I met him when I was 12. I met him when I was 12, 13. And he would come to the house with my relatives and talk with them. And by this time, I'm fast now. I'm really fast now. And so he would see me, why you in school, little girl? Don't ask no questions. He said, you need to go to school. And before you knew it, he gave me like he cared.
He gave you the attention
that he cared. And then he said, no, I'm going to take you to school. Go put some clothes on. You don't even be dressed like that. I used to wear the little daisy jeans. Come on here, somebody. And I used to have the little Daisy Dukes on and all that good stuff. And he was smiling, go take that clothes off. You don't need to change all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I never had nobody concerned about me.
Care about you in that way.
Yeah. And he would take me to school, make sure you say you need education.
And all that time, he was grooming you.
And he didn't touch me. First man never touched me. I tried to throw myself on him, he wouldn't touch me. So I was in love. I was like, oh my God.
This is for real, Lord, thank you.
But I'll never forget the day when it did happen. My life changed.
Yes.
And it took him 6 to 8 months before he touched me.
Wow.
So I just knew he just loved me.
And me, not my body.
Not my body.
Yes.
Everybody else wanted my body.
Yes.
He don't want my body.
Yes.
He wants me. He even stopped people from touching me. He told them, I watched them, don't touch her no more. If you touch her, I'm gonna do something to you. So now he become my protector.
Yes.
And so the weekend, it was a Thursday, he came over, he said, hey, get yourself ready for this weekend, I'm taking you somewhere. And he took me out, he took me to dinner. Never had a person take me to dinner.
Right.
He took me to dinner and he took me to a motel. And that was the first time we had sexual experiences. But from that time to then, I was just so in love because this dude took me off the streets.
Yes.
He made him stop hitting me. He made him stop abusing me. And he didn't come at me like that.
Yeah.
And then
you got pregnant.
I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, it's actually when the first time he hit me.
Okay. We're gonna be. I have to stop. That's probably your testimony speaks to so many different people, and if you had one advice, oh my God. If you had one advice to that 5-year-old, what would you say to her now?
It's not your fault. And you are good enough. And they was wrong not to be there for you and to protect you. I think people don't take ownership.
Yes.
To the kids, to that little girl, that little boy, that you dropped the ball.
Wow.
It wasn't God's will for children to be tortured and hurt and be so vulnerable like that. When we are vulnerable, it's at that time we should be able to shelter and encourage, help that young person to be. I already lost my mom. I already lost the greatest person in my life.
Yes.
My dad was not in my life. So if I had to talk to a 5-year-old, it's not your fault. And it does get better, unfortunate.
Yeah.
Mine, it took a long time to get better, but it does get better.
Yes.
And if I had to talk to caregivers, a sister or a brother or auntie or uncle, doing that child is dependent on you to protect them. That child is dependent on you to be there to nurture and build them up. When they lose a loved one, even if they don't lose a loved one, they're looking for someone to help them. Unfortunate that so many kids go through this. I end up working for the protection services. And you believe it or not, there's so many children even today, even through COVID.
Yeah. Oh God.
COVID has increased child sexual abuse and child abuse.
I can imagine because now you can't go outside.
You're not going outside, especially in 20 and 21.
Yes.
And 21 was real horrible. 22 was bad too.
Yeah.
So the numbers has increased for children being sexual abuse and abuse period because they're not able to go. They're around a predator more now.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And so men and women that are older sister, older brother is around and they're frustrated, they take it out on the children.
Yes.
And the children have nowhere to go. Where school, they have somewhere to go. A release. And if people are working from home, guess what? They have somewhere to go. But now I'm all home, working from home all day, kids yelling, kids screaming. And now, the very thing I use maybe casually as an outlet is at my possession all the time. And so we have to, and then the thing about it is, all this time, you're around other people. So nobody recognized the little girl that's now acting different. Nobody recognized the little boy that's acting different. And so we have to take the blinders off. And we, even as sisters and brothers and aunties and uncles and mothers, when we see a relative that's just too friendly. Because guess what? monsters, the stranger danger. No, it's family danger now.
Right.
It's friend danger now. It's people we know danger. It's no stranger danger. It's not strangers.
It's in your house.
It's in your house danger. So it's not just strangers that's hurting our children, hurting those children in your community. It's people that look like you and I.
Do you think people, when they see something different with a child or see a different behavior, do you think they're afraid to speak up? Like, what is that?
Yeah, especially if it's a relative, if it's someone I know.
Yes.
Because keep in mind is a person that abuse children, abuse women, abuse men, they're not like this every day.
Yes.
There's something good about you. So sometimes the good that we see, we overlook the bad in a person because of good of what we see.
Yes.
And so keep in mind is, but if I know you're a rapist, I know you, think about old Uncle Bob. Everybody have an uncle, a granddaddy, somebody in the family that's a little too fresh, a little too friendly with the kids.
Right. A little too touchy.
Too touchy.
Right.
With the children. We have sons that's a little bit too touchy with their little sisters and their little cousins.
Yes.
But we're not saying anything because we don't want to face the truth.
Or we don't want that relationship to be separate.
Or we don't want it to be separate because we know bringing this type of awareness, it will bring conflict. It will bring a tear. And so many girls and so many little boys wants to talk, want to tell, but they don't feel comfortable because they know that's my sister, that's my mom's brother, and she loves him.
Wow, so you protecting your parents and
you protecting the relationship. So you accept the abuse and you protect the relationship, and at some point you think it's your fault. For years I thought it was my fault.
And you carry that burden.
I carried that burden. If I didn't dress this way, I was the girl didn't like her figure. I was the girl didn't like her looks. Because my look and my figure caused me a lot of pain.
Wow.
I wasn't a girl to mine. I don't think I'm pretty enough. I thought I was too much.
Wow. Yes.
I thought I was too much. And so even as a grown up, as an adult, I looked at it well. I didn't like the compliments.
Wow.
I didn't like it because when I was back in the world, and I was in my game, that was a whole other situation. Because I knew what I had.
Yes.
Because I knew what I had. I didn't really need you to compliment. I knew what I had because life has taught me that I had it.
Yes.
But when I really dismantled a lot of things in my life, the insecurities started rising, came in.
Yes.
And my insecurities was, I used to cover myself up. I used to, when I first started my journey in walking with God, I covered myself up. I wouldn't wear makeup. I wouldn't wear nothing fitting. I wouldn't show my legs. I wouldn't show my shape. Nobody knew I had a shape because I covered it up.
Right.
Because
that wasn't tradition. That was your own insecurity.
No, it wasn't tradition.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to be Wanda Divine.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be coaching. I wasn't trying to be But no, I wanted to keep people away from me.
Yeah.
If you don't see this, then you'll want me.
Yeah.
You want me. And then I went through a healing process, and then I remember my first Pastor Tamika, she said, Burton, I didn't know you had legs. Where the butt came from? I hid it for a long time. I hid it for a long time.
Well, guys, we have to stop. She will be back because this is not the end of her testimony. She has more to share to inspire and motivate us. But just that testimony alone, just the first half, I hope it really did something or sparked something in you to have a conversation.
Yeah, conversation.
To have a conversation with your kids, your children, or your family members. So thank you once again. Remember to love, pray, and be that beacon of light for the world to see. And tune in next time for part 2.